What if we don't die? Maybe life isn't just about survival. What if it's about growth? I'm Brough. I'm a psychic medium, and I've been doing professional readings for nearly 18 years. I'm here to demystify the mystical. One of the common jokes that clients make to me is, have you seen my winning lottery numbers in their reading? Of course, I always refer that I am a clairvoyant, not a moron. I wouldn't give you your numbers if I saw the winning ones. Well, my next guest, Tim Schultz, is a dear friend of mine. We met through being interested in the paranormal, and he actually did win the lottery after having a psychic dream. So I think you'll find this very interesting.
Hey Tim, thanks for coming on my show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, bro. Great to see you.
You and I have been friends. Yeah, it's good to see you too. We've been friends for, I think, going on 10 years now, actually.
I think so. Yeah, it's been quite a while. Yeah, 10 years. Wow.
For my, I know, right? You look great. I had hair when we started this friendship, and time has not been kind. I think it might be a side effect of being psychic. You know, like Professor X, kind of now. Not great as a floating wheelchair, but
no, you look great as well.
Thank you.
Too hard on yourself.
That's why I do this show, is just to be told I look great by as many people as possible. But actually, for my audience, I wanted to, I guess, get into a little bit about how we met, because it does intersect with the paranormal, and you have a fascinating story because you are also a lottery winner, and I think you won the lottery at 21 years old, and it was something in the ballpark of what, 26 million or something in the States at the time.
Yeah, I was 21 years old, and so I was one of the youngest Powerball jackpot winners in history, and essentially I sold the ticket to myself while working at a gas station, and the rest is history. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but you know, winning the lottery is one of the most powerfully life-altering things that can happen to a person, and it's really turned my life upside down in many, many ways. And yeah, that's sort of how we met. I believe you reached out to me after you saw me on a television show.
And I wasn't a cousin.
That's right.
I was actually interested because your story... Yeah, you were on a show. It was on TLC, How the Lottery Changed My Life, I believe.
Right.
And what interested me so much about your story was that you had a premonition before winning the lottery that you were going to win. And then in a relatively short time after that, you actually won. And it wasn't just... the thing about the ticket you got, I think it was a quick pick. You didn't actually have numbers. You just sort of let the machine pick for you, didn't you?
Exactly. Yeah, I did. And I really did believe that I was going to win before I won because of the dream. And so it was very interesting. I mean, it was a very real dream that convinced me that I would. I had no doubt in my mind. And I joked, well, I was serious, but everyone thought I was joking. It's like, I'm going to win. You know, I have this ticket here. I'm definitely going to win. I know I'm going to win. And of course, no one believed me, but I did. And that's okay. But it's interesting how many lottery winners do believe that they will win before they win from dreams or, whether you call it a premonition. And I don't know, how much of that is something I created. There's a whole movement of people out there, like with The Secret and that type of thing, where they think that they've created, or whether it's a premonition, it was just going to happen, or whether it was just dumb luck. I mean, that's always possible as well. I don't think that you believe that.
Predeterminism versus determinism, right? So, yeah, whether you create your reality or whether... Right, and of course, if one way to ensure that you'll never win the lottery is to not play it.
Right.
But having said that, the statistics are out. The numbers have been crunched. It's like billions to one that you would have won, and that you would have won in a reasonable time frame after that dream is what points toward it being premonitory, I think, in this case, more so than even manifesting your reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because you don't create your dreams. they kind of happen, right? And some dreams are your own mind working stuff out, but other dreams we know are premonitions because they have nothing to do with us at the time that we had the dream. It usually only makes sense after the dream, and that shows that it really wasn't you generating it. So that's just to consider that. It might lean the scale a little more to it being a premonition versus determinism.
Sure. Well, I definitely believed after having the dream that it was going to happen, and it was just so real, and it took a while to wake up to realize that it hadn't happened. I mean, it was that real. And
right. One of those dreams, like in my case, it's whenever I've had a nightmare, and I'm sure lots of viewers can relate to this, where it just sits with you for a whole day or maybe even several days, the feeling. But in your case, it was the opposite of a nightmare, and it was sitting with you.
Right.
You had to realize, wait a second, I'm sleeping on an air mattress here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and anything's possible. I think you have a better chance of being hit by an asteroid or being crushed by, a comet or, plenty of things other than winning the lottery. The odds are not in your favor, but somebody
I always want to say, if I had to choose how to go, I want to be death by ice cream truck, just run over by a slow-moving ice cream truck with that creepy music playing. And
yeah, so, there you go.
Yeah, that's my way. Those odds are probably higher for me than winning the lottery.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true.
Well, I'm chasing after them, waving my bill at them. But anyway, that's another story. So,
right.
So you're saying that the odds are already low, and yet here you have this dream, and so you win it. And what do you think at first? Do you immediately think of your dream when you found out you won the lottery? Was that the first thing you thought about, or when did that come up?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I find it very interesting because, I did have a dream about it before it happened. So I found that I'm not the only person out there. There are plenty of other lottery winners that have had dreams.
What was your dream like? Can you tell us what do you remember anything about your dream?
Yeah, so I was sleeping on an air mattress in an efficiency, which is basically, just one bedroom with a kitchen. Mm-hmm. And
this is in real life.
This is in real life.
And you were in your dream in this dream. Like your dream was like it was real life, I guess, too.
Yeah, my dream was as well. And basically I dreamt that I had won the lottery and I was able to pay off my truck, which at the time was a pretty big deal for me to be able to do that. And I was just so elated that I could, I didn't have to worry about debt, credit card debt, and paying off my vehicle and working at a gas station for 60 hours a week. I was just so, just overcome because it was very, very real. And then I woke up and realized that I hadn't won, but it took a while. It was that real. It took a little while.
The feeling had stayed with you.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing about your dream is that you didn't dream the details of how you won. You didn't dream what lottery it was. Now, that's where it gets interesting, because if you're going to go with the argument that you created the win, you would have dreamt of the process, I would assume, whereas you didn't dream. You just dreamt the effect as if it had happened, but you didn't even know what lottery to play.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I don't quite have the wherewithal at this second to put all the pieces together as to why that's so important, but it does suggest in my mind that that could be a premonition.
Yeah. I mean, at the time I felt that it was going to happen and that the dream just, told me that. But
well, also because in my readings, that's how I see things for people. I'll see something and I have no idea why I see it. I don't get the full story, and so there's a flavor of that with your dream. So it really, to me, as a professional psychic, reminds me of a premonition. So if that, I don't know, maybe my expertise there lends itself to your thought process, because it sounds like you are weighing whether you created this or whether it was predetermined. And what about this point? What about the fact that people win the lottery, and this happens more than once. We hear these stories. Win the lottery, squander it all away on stupid crap, and then win again, squander it away again, and then win a third time. Like, the odds are unbelievably astronomical in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know how many of those people have squandered it away or not, but I do know that some people have won multiple times, and it's very interesting, for that to happen. And There are strategies for winning, but I am skeptical that that it's the result of a strategy. I don't think it's that simple. I don't know what all is involved, but it could be that I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, but there are people that really believe that you can create these things, just through your energy and through your thoughts. Eternally lucky. Maybe they're the luckiest person on the planet. I don't know. But
maybe they're lucky, but the thing is, statistics would suggest that it's like impossible to win that many times, and especially when they're random wins, and that it happens suggests that there's some higher order to our lives. Like if you're meant to win, you're gonna win. And so this actually ties into something that clients will ask me. I've often had a client, well, not often, but I get clients every so often who will make the joke, well, if you see my winning numbers, let me know. And I always say, well, I'm a clairvoyant, not a moron. If I saw your winning numbers, I'd play them. I wouldn't give them away. I'd refund your reading. I'm not a monster, but, I wouldn't give the numbers away. And I've asked myself quite seriously, well, why don't I see numbers and things? Why is it like I can't direct my attention? And what I have received from Spirit is that level of event in life, when people win the lottery, and I think it goes the opposite. When people win the lottery of having bad luck, like when an accident happens, it's like your soul has pre-planned it for you to some degree. I'm not sure I even believe what I'm saying. I'm just saying this is what I've been told by Spirit. Sure. And so if you go with that for a second, you go, well, wait a minute, that kind of then makes sense why some people could win multiple times, because it's like they're meant to have it, especially when they squandered it away. And so, well, no, you're supposed to have it, so you win again to have it back. And it's like it comes to you. But Dr. Dean Radin is a scientist I had an interview for the show with, and one of the things he's done is he's used random number generators, which I think on a 50-50 bell curve, it's like they do positive numbers and negative numbers equally. And when you put people focusing on positive numbers, the random number generator more often than not goes positive. So it shows that there's a mental effect, that mind can affect the material world, but it's very small and cumulative, Dr. Radin pointed out. So I think there is truth in manifesting reality, but I think some things are fixed. I cannot manifest that I'm going to stay in the body forever. We're going to die. There's no getting around that. And there are some things that are fixed, and I think there are some things like you can move the furniture around and redecorate a bit. But what you're meant to have at a fundamental level, I don't think we can change that easily. And I think maybe there's room for both, and I think it opens up anyway the idea that we've got to sort of learn maybe a new classification in our life, certain things like winning the lottery. That's going to fundamentally affect your life at a deep level.
Yeah, absolutely. It is extremely life-altering, and a lot of lottery winners do go broke within even just 5 years, for many reasons, unfortunately. But I think that for the people that do go broke, there's still you can still learn lessons. I'm sure there was, spiritually speaking, I believe anyway, that that they probably learned lessons and taught other people lessons, because there's a lot involved. It changes relationships with people. It changes your whole life, and a lot of people don't realize these things. But that's not to say that that it wasn't meant to happen, because perhaps it was. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, because that was where I was kind of going with my next point, which is maybe we can't alter the big picture, but we can decide to change who we are, and that we can play around with. We can decide how we want to look at the world and how we want to treat other people. And I'm sure there are people who get that lesson when they win the lottery, and then there's people who don't. Right? And there are people who sometimes forget the main point, which is, okay, so this circumstance has come upon me. What do I do about it? How do I change? How does it affect me? And I think the difference there is simply spiritual maturity, frankly. But that's for another discussion. I mean, and you are a spiritually mature person because, well, you just are. I've known you. I don't think we'd be friends.
Oh, well, thank you.
Because it takes someone very mature to have to put up with this. That's why.
Right. No. It's very interesting though. And, there's also, I'm a huge fan of the the Final Destination film series. And, you know, it's sort of like if you picture people who have won multiple times, you can't escape the chainsaw coming down to cut your head off or something. But in this case, it's winning the lottery. You know, they can't. I don't know. It just reminded me of that.
Can't escape your fate.
Can't escape it. Yeah.
Well, that's a great point to end on, and I just want to thank you again for coming on the show. And you are a friend, so you'll be back, and I'm sure we'll cover lots of cool stuff in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brough, for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's great to see you.
Good to see you, too. Talk soon.
All right, take care.
So it's like my friend Tim was saying, he doesn't really know if he created the lottery win for himself through will or if it was predestined. Of course, my opinion is that it's predestined. You have to admit, whichever you believe, the odds are still incredible and staggering that you could win the lottery, especially when it's a random Powerball like that, and especially that he had a dream shortly prior to the win. So, you know, there is speculation with what I do, whether or not premonitions are an indication that the future's pre-planned already, and I'm just tapping into what's already there, just hasn't happened yet, or if maybe what psychics see in some form makes it happen. And I think personally there's room for both of those points of view. The universe is still a very mysterious place, and it's phenomena like these, Tim having a dream and then winning the lottery shortly thereafter, that point to there being something more. There's something we need to uncover and still understand about the way life works. When we come back, today's reading is with a young lady named Tanya. I think you'll find it particularly intense.
I'm hoping to hear from one of my best friends. He passed away over 18 years ago. And I'm hoping to hear from Jamie Lee Miller, who was murdered a couple years ago. I'm just looking for some answers.
Yeah, they're saying you're very nervous. It's okay. You're in good hands. I look young, but I've done this work for 20 years now. I started when I was 15, and I had hair when I started out.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if it's an occupational hazard that the waves make it fall out or something. I don't know. Next is my floating wheelchair like Professor X. But,
yeah, we all want those.
Right, but I do sense that we have some presence with you today. Now this could mean relatives who have passed on, so I'm just going to give them a chance to step forward. I'll let you know everything I get in a second. Oh yes, I get a strong sense around you. Now there's a man stepping forward as well. He might be an uncle or a granddad though. These don't seem immediately relevant. Sometimes you have what I call ralliers, different spirit people who are here to help, but they're not the main attraction. They're not really here to take over the reading.
Okay.
When I bring up the concept of a mysterious death, it means that there was a sense of mystery, like we don't know quite how they died at first. Even if you found out after, but during the process of, we don't know quite how they died. So there's a mystery that I'm sensing here. Can you relate to someone who passed away too soon in life?
Mm-hmm.
And was there a sense of mystery or something unsolved around that death? Just yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Did you feel that this person did not get to live out their adult life?
Yes.
Right, okay. They're just starting to form the link. It'll get more specific, sweetheart. Just stay with me on this, okay? Because I'm just making a link into this. Is this person or this story part of why you've come for a reading, or one of the things that you're hoping to touch on today? Or is this a surprise?
No, it's one of them.
One of the things, okay. Because that's what I'm concerned about, right? I just want to make sure I'm on the right track. Because it seems like they're guiding me down this path here. I'm seeing a school like a schoolyard or a fence, and to some pine trees or some trees. That vision might have to do with the person that there's mystery around their death. I don't know if it has to do with their actual circumstances around their death, or if it's just that they're trying to show me that the age is of a person who would be linked to school in some form. It's a little mysterious to me. I'm still making the link now. Keep my eyes closed. Why the hell do I need glasses for? Don't tell me the story, but just yes or no. Does it make any sense to you what I just said about the schoolyard?
No.
Okay. Perhaps there's an age reference to the person, that there's some mystery around their death, or there's some unsolved. It's like the family questioned how they passed. The family questioned how they passed. I'm tasting sort of metallic, sort of like, I get this sometimes if the blood had drugs in it, or if there's a mixture of different compounds that don't belong there, like toxins. Is that possibly part of this? Can you conceive why I might sense that with the person whose death had some mystery around it?
I don't know.
Okay. Honest enough, but maybe I am getting something still that people aren't aware of, right? Because it could be part of the story that there was toxins involved, or drug involves itself somehow. I'm not sure. There's just a very female energy. The person earlier who I was starting to sense about premature passing and mystery around the death, is that a female? Okay. But is that one of the non-blood relatives? Because it's it's very interesting how it's non-blood relative, but in the family somehow.
Right.
Is it like a niece or a friend's daughter?
She's a friend. Jamie was a really good friend of mine. I met her a few years ago. She has 3 kids, and our kids used to play together, and we go to the park and stuff, and an awesome lady. I mean, she loved her kids. She just did weird, crazy, quirky things, like she was just one of those girls that if it made her kids laugh, she'd do it. If it had anything to do with like arts and crafts and stuff, she'd do it. She had like a love of life. Just total love for life.
She's poking my ears. She likes my earrings, but then she's showing me a nose ring. A nose ring. And an eyebrow ring. Did she have piercings?
Yes.
Multiple facial ones, eh?
She had a few.
Yeah. Because she's like, hey, nice earrings, stud. They're not real studs, though. They're just an illusion. Well, they're real piercings, but they're just like earrings. They look like studs. She's making fun of me now. She's feisty.
Okay.
Is her death still a mystery?
It is.
She's telling me something about this. Hold on, let me just see. Did they find her body outside?
Yes.
They found it. I'm seeing that fence that I was describing earlier. I'm hearing children playing or laughing. Did they find her body near a school?
I don't think so.
I hear children laughing or playing like a school, like a schoolyard. This is very bizarre. But she could be walking me through some element of where she was that day, or what, you know, some part of the story.
Okay.
Now this is coming through the reading in a way that feels important to me. Is this one of the major reasons you're here, or at least one of the top things that you had written?
One of them.
One of them? Okay, fair enough. Because it just comes through as important. She's quite beautiful. Like, she's her best self now. I'm seeing hair that's blonde. When she was younger, it would have been blonde. It might be brown, but brown blonde. Mm-hmm. And she's got a crimping device, like from the 80s and 90s, from when you and I were young. and she's like showing me some curls, but they're not real. But she has a wave to her hair.
Right.
And she's really cute. She's really cute. She's a cute girl. Cute. And she's wearing something funny. She's got like a beautiful top. I don't know what they're called. It might be a halter top or something. But she's wearing jeans, but she's got a cute top that come down like a skirt almost. It's kind of cute. She's got straps around her shoulders. She's really cute. And very simple, but all the art is like in tattoos and piercings for her. Like, she glams it up with accessories, we could say.
Okay.
And this is her best self, eh? Like, she might not have been like this at the end of her life either. This is her best self. Does that sound like her description to you?
It does.
Okay, fair enough. Did you get a tattoo for her? Someone got a rose or a tattoo with a flower for her.
I didn't get a flower for her.
Did you get a different tattoo for her?
Sort of.
People have commemorated her with tattoos, I'm sure.
Right.
And it's like something she would like. Mm-hmm. That's something she thanks you for. Her body was moved in a van or a truck, like a van. It wasn't like a boyfriend or a lover that murdered her. But there was some people that were, let's say, involved in shady business, drugs, or something to that effect. This doesn't look like it's a solved case. Is it a police case currently?
It is.
That's why I get toxins, because I think she was partly drugged as well.
So is it someone she knows?
Well, she would have associated with them on some level. I don't know if the actual murderer was someone she knew. Seems a little like a hired gun. Are you aware that she was asphyxiated?
I don't know those details.
Yeah. She refused something with shady people. She refused something, or she was unable to do something for them, whether it was a practice or whether it was payment of something. I don't know. It could be a mixture of both. Maybe in order to pay for a drug deal, she would have had to do a deed for them that she didn't do or couldn't do. And for that, she was targeted.
You don't know who to trust, you know? Like, you don't know who did it. You don't know the outcome. Nobody's been caught, so you don't know if the person behind you is the one that did it, you know? So you're very uneasy. You're always on caution. It's hard when it's somebody that you know, when it's somebody that's so close to you that you knew personally. So, yeah, it's not easy.
She's just given you a kiss on the cheek, and she says she's fine and don't worry about her. Have you dreamt of her after her death?
I have.
Because that's her way of visiting you. Do you notice she looks radiant and good in the dream, and her mouth barely moves, but she talks to you? Have you noticed those details yet?
She just looks like she did in person, yeah.
Perfect, yeah, and that's her primary sign to you. So that's really her. That's really her. It was like 4 or 5 months she was gone before they found her. She shows me Halloween. When did she die?
She was missing for a few months before they found her.
What month did she go missing?
She went missing in October.
October? Okay, because they're showing me Halloween. All right. So this is a case. This is an investigation now. So I'll have to deal with that with police. I'm sorry. I can't go too much more into it on the show. But please take this as a validation. She's made it. She's okay. She's fine. And she's feisty as all hell. And she's happy. She's a sweet soul. She's a protectorate to your kids. Eh? She's like an angel to them. You can think of her like a guardian angel.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. And there's another one. There's a spirit person who feels like family that wants to connect to you. And they give you a kiss right on the top of your head, like they're right behind you. I'm just trying to see who that is, because we're going to need everybody to clear out except for the one communicating. See, sometimes I have too much of a spirit peanut gallery, I call them. There's too many of them. It feels like, so your friend that we were just talking about, non-blood relative, young, mystery around death, crime, murder. There's another person who feels too young to have died that I feel coming around you. Is the other young person the other person you were hoping for? Okay, yeah. Why do I feel more responsible? Like, did that person take their own life or put themselves in a situation that led to their death? Could that make sense to you? Because there's more responsibility there. I don't understand. Can you help me figure that out?
He was inline skating.
He was skating at the time?
Inline skating?
Inline skating, okay. That led to his death? Specifically, yeah. So it was an accident, but he was in control of himself, but he lost control, right? But he put himself in those shoes, I was gonna say.
Right.
Skates, okay.
So his name is Mitchell. We grew up together from the time we were really little until he passed away. We'd call each other on the phone long distance and be on the phone for hours and rack up the phone bills. We go for bike rides and not tell our parents where we were going. So yeah, there's quite a few stories. Growing up on the farm, it was very, very interesting. He actually was hit by a car in Barrie. And he had come up to Barrie for the summer to work with his dad. And yeah, he was in a rollerblading accident. It's just something that you'll never get over. It's your best friend. It's like a brother to you, you know? So it's just a piece that's just never been filled. It's still missing.
Was he like young? Like, he wasn't a teenager. Was he in his 20s or something?
No, he was younger.
He felt young to me. Would he be 20 now?
No, he'd be older than that.
Older than that, okay, yeah, because he's lived out his adult years in the spirit world, but he was young. Like, I saw teens at first, but then he shot into his 20s. So he's just telling me he's left young, but he's been growing. Is that like a brother to you? He feels very brotherly.
Yeah, it felt like that.
Yeah. Because you keep having these special connections with young lost, but non-blood relative.
Right.
But yet, he's like a brother to you.
Right.
Because I don't think he was a romantic partner. But he feels like, well, if there was any of that, it was either on one side or short-lived or something. It wasn't like, he's like, oh, wait a second, bro, don't get carried away. But he protects you. He protects you very much. He didn't see it coming. Was his death an accident that was sudden and like out of the blue? Was he hit from the side?
Sort of, yeah.
I don't know. I'm getting like head stuff too. Did he have injuries in the head?
He did.
Yeah. I'm touching my right side, by the way. Do you know, I don't want you to relive it that much, but do you know off the top of your head, was this right side more? Well, anyway, look into it. He wasn't one to follow instructions or take orders from people. He was like a bit of a rogue in life, because on some level he psychically sensed he didn't have a long life. So it's like, I'm not going to listen to you. No authority, no respect to authority. He did what he wanted. I don't know if your family took him in at some point, but I just feel like his family had some chaos in it growing up, and other people were like family to him. Like, people were kind to him, and he's never forgotten that. Like, you are like family.
Right.
See, he's shy. He doesn't want to talk. He's not into this stuff. It's not his cup of tea. I don't even think a cup of tea is his cup of tea. But he's like, yeah, I'm with you, kid. Like, he's always watching over you. He's never that far. But I feel like I'd have to coax him to talk, so I don't want to push him if he's not able or willing. But if you brought his family to me, I think it'd be more of a conversational connection. But I don't think he's going to interfere that much. But he's like, yeah, he's dipped his head in, and he's watching what we're doing today and just wants you to know, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. Show him. I don't know what it is about nuts, like peanuts or chestnuts or something like that. Or like, yeah, heck, I don't even know. Maybe it's sunflower seeds. But you might not think of this right now, but there's a memory with him, with these nuts. Someone might know about that, like he always ate them or something. Or he's spitting at me now. He's spitting on me with nut shells or something. Either that or he's calling me a nut. I don't know, one or the other. But I do actually think there's a deeper connection there, pistachios or something, that you'll come up to. It's been the last couple of readings I've done have been interesting, because the dead have come through, but they're not like, I lost my mother when I was 25, right? It's not like your mother or your father. It's not like that. It's these external people coming through. And I've had this for a couple of readings now, so they're a little bit unusual. Usually it'll be direct parents or children that you've lost and things, but for you it's not quite so simple. Like I said, you have an interesting life. And you have different people that you've lost that are not the standard set that a person loses, and you care about them, and they're more than friends, they're family.
Correct.
It feels like that. And you have them in your heart always, and they have you in their heart. I feel that it might be beneficial now for you to talk to me about questions you might have. This is what I do with my clients typically at this point, is you can talk to me about anything. You can bring up a subject or ask questions. Do you want to go into anything I didn't cover, or anything further that you want to look at?
I wanted to see if Jamie has anything she wants to say to her family.
Okay. Jamie is the spirit of the woman who I sense was murdered. Okay, let me see more here. Her mother's still living, correct? Because I want to go to her mom right away, and I want to say the way that she's come to you in dreams, she's been doing to her mother, but you can also tell her mother about your dreams through a message. Because you don't call, but you can email. You have their email, correct? Does she have a living brother? I feel like he's really involved in solving her case, or involved in a lot of this stuff. I feel that he's involved in a way that he's trying to help fix things and solve things. And he's been a champion of hers. And she wants him to know that he's her hero. He's her hero.
Okay.
And she's sorry. She's sorry for putting herself in league with the wrong people. And it only takes one interaction, It could be old connections. That she knows that it's going to get solved. I don't know, maybe she's seen ahead already, or like I said, we're going to work with the police, but she knows that it's going to get solved. and she wants her family to know that they will have their justice and their peace.
There's questions I had that were definitely answered. Some questions were definitely answered, some I still have to look into. But yeah, it's messages to pass along that I will definitely pass along, for sure. I wouldn't really say closure, I say makes you feel better. You know, like you feel, you got the questions answered that you wanted answered, but you can't answer them all. So you feel better, for sure. There's definitely something afterlife. We don't know what. But there's definitely gifted people that can help you, for sure. And I think I'm just gonna take away it's more relief. Take relief is what I can say. You know, how do you word that?
It's normally very unusual to have someone who's not actually a blood relative come through in a reading, but in this case, the unique tragedy and the spirit's will to push through with information that could lead to a solution caused this reading to take place. Of course, with this session, we've had to cut out sensitive details pertaining to the crime, but it was apparent to me that the spirit of my client's friend was adamant at getting a message of comfort through to her and by extension to her family. All of our sympathies. Did you have two children? I see two kids around you, and I'm getting them very different from each other. Now that usually means son and daughter, but it could also mean half siblings, like not the same father. Can you help me figure that part out?
I do have two.
Are they son and daughter?
Right.
Okay, but they're the same dad?
Right.
Yeah, but they're just very different. They're like night and day, your two kids.
They are.
Boy, are they cute. Your little
Thank
girl's like a spitting image of you. It's like you shook your head and she fell off.
Oh.
She's like a little mini me. Which is good and bad. 'Cause she has your mouth.
That's right.
She'll tell you what she thinks.
That's right.
She doesn't mince her words. Your grandmother's very proud of these kids. She wasn't on Earth to see them, but she's seen them in the spirit world since they've grown up. Did you feel you were a young mom? Or did you feel you weren't ready at first, but you're like they're the best thing that happened to you?
No, I was a young mom.
I'm not just saying that for the cameras. They are the loves of your life.
They are.
And you feel that, you know, I can see that. That's almost, I've got tear, you can't see because my eyes are closed, but I got teary eyes because there's a love there with your babies. Your son wasn't first.
No.
He feels like he's the baby, but he feels like he was 4 or 5 years after.
Right.
Like there's a gap. Is it 4.5 years?
4 years.
Yeah. But he's a handsome young man. My gosh, look at him grow up. Little chestnut hair. He's got a little bit of he lets his hair grow a little bit. Uncle Brough's proud. I used to, when you tell him to watch my old Much Music, I had hair, just for the record. As I said, it fell out somewhere along the lines. But he's got nice hair, and he's going to grow it some more.
He's proud of that hair.
Yes, it's a feature of his. Because I'm seeing it come, it's a little straight, but it's got volume.
Right.
And it's chestnut colored. He doesn't know that that's a color, by the way.
Yeah.
Uncle Bro's had like 10 different hair colors, so I know. I can tell him it's chestnut, and it's like he's really a handsome boy.
Thank you.
And your daughter's beautiful. And I feel like these two kids are really healthy and good. And they are protected from spirit. But it's funny because it's like grandparents of yours, and it's like aunts and uncles, and well, it's your grandmother seems to be the strongest one in spirit, strangely, to you. She's a feisty bird. You grew up with your babies.
Correct.
And you took care of them. They're your kids. Your parents helped during some important years and some formative years. But I'm not even sure if it was completely your parents even. But I feel like those kids have more sets of parents than their own. That's the feeling I have. And I have this sense of, even though things aren't always done perfectly and things aren't always communicated well, the love was always clear. Love you to death. That can never change.
Right.
Speak my mind, but I love you.
Right, right.
And you've always let your kids know that you love them, and that's really amazing. You're being like given cosmic thumbs up by your spirit team.
Well,
You've
thank
been
you.
an excellent mother, like really. And I'll tell you if you've been a crappy one, by the way. I don't care. I'll tell people the truth.
It's good.
Yeah. I see your son having 2 gifts, and he's going to have to choose one. And it's fascinating because on one hand, I see him being quite competitive. And I see him with a tank top on, and I'm hearing a basketball, but I don't see him being professional or anything like deep into it, just maybe as a hobby or what have you. Mm-hmm. But then I feel like he needs to hone his skills and craft around detail-oriented work, like when it comes to computers and technology and IT and information technology and systems and camera work. And just sort of detailed technical things. Technical specifically means to specialize in systems. Okay. And I feel like he's still quite young. Is he under 20? Mm-hmm. But like more than, like, is he near 14?
He's 14.
Yeah, 14. I feel he needs to, in the next couple of years, be encouraged with computers, and maybe even get involved in an extracurricular program or a camp that has to do with film and sound and things to do with the technical aspect of the media. Your little girl, and she's 17? No, she's 4 years older, I saw. So she would be, if he's 14, she'd be 18?
In a couple days, yes.
In a couple days. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. What a
I'll
sweetheart. She's your feisty one.
Correct.
You've already given her the curse. You've said one day you're going to have kids just like you. And she's going to. She'll see. She'll see
It'll
that
be
day.
10 times worse, yes. Yeah.
She's a really great kid. And I'm feeling, I think she's got some lessons around relationships and romance, love. I feel she has some lessons around that. And her love life seems to be shining right now. Is she going through a breakup, or did she process a relationship in the last year?
She's got a crush on someone.
Okay. When was the last breakup with her? And I get like a C or a K, like Kevin, Kyle, Christopher. Is that ringing any bells to you?
Well, not that I know of, but now
Fair
you're
enough.
bringing it up.
Fair enough. You can look into it. But,
okay.
But I get the sense like new love, and resolve from her past. So she's been disappointed before, but she's going to go through some lessons and find out Mom was human after all, and
That's
have more
good.
compassion. She'll be your child that's also a friend. She'll be the kid that comes and has coffee with you and goes out on mom-daughter dates, even when she's in her 40s. She's that
nice.
kid. Not that your son won't, but your son will have the pool, and you're going to go to his house to lounge and tan.
He's more cool. I understand.
Yeah. Beautiful kids, beautiful kids, and very, very healthy, well-adjusted, grew up with you, not from you. And there's a difference there, but there are pros and cons to that. And like, for instance, you were not a helicopter parent. These kids are independent, and that's something people should take a lesson from you, especially nowadays. But at the same token, they've been given the freedom to find their gifts.
Correct.
And your daughter, I feel like she needs to fly a lot, or needs to travel a lot. Has she had any interest in England or Paris and France? Has she spoken about those places?
Yes, because it has to do with hairstyling.
Yeah, because she needs to travel there for work, and she needs to take courses or needs to have competitions. And I feel like she's going to do more of that in the UK.
I think at the time you were already working on a film involving investigating the afterlife and psychic phenomena and all that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that project?
Sure. Yeah. I at the time I was producing a film that ended to be it was a 5-year production about ghosts. Started out as Haunted Colorado and kind of evolved into going around the world and to some of the most haunted places that I could find. And it's called Chasing the Shadows, chasingtheshadows.com. And just it's really an exploration into what is a ghost. And in the process of shooting it and editing it, we had quite a few really interesting experiences that were eye-opening to me. I also, unfortunately, had a good friend that passed away during the end of the production. And so naturally, the film kind of evolved into if you accept that a ghost is something that is real and that we do live beyond our bodies, then what happens when we die? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how it evolved. But it's not a film that's the point of it isn't to try and convince anyone that a ghost is real. You know, I completely respect the skeptics out there because, like a lot of people, you have to experience something to believe that something exists. And to be honest, if you watch most reality television shows on the subject and most films, most of them are complete nonsense, or at least heavily edited, because people want to see the ghosts jumping out of the woodwork and people getting possessed and that sort of thing. Yeah. I mean, I find that fascinating. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to produce the film. I thought that would happen everywhere I went. And we shot, like I think 500 hours of footage, something like that. I don't know the exact number, and just put the best of the best into this film. And the majority of the time when you go into a place that's haunted, it wasn't like
jump out at you and like some Eddie Murphy movie or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it was quite an experience. So if you want to check it out, that's at chasingtheshadows.com. But I've had a lifelong fascination with the paranormal and ghosts and that sort of thing. And
well, you might be interested in this, Tim, because the purpose of my show here is to investigate the paranormal and to show off the reality of psychic ability and teach and educate people about it and how readings work and how mediums work, as well as talking to people like you, so that I can demystify the mystical and take the shadows out of it, so to speak. Like you just said, a lot of these ghost shows are to some degrees edited, and I think some of the psychic shows too are edited to only give the best and the more wow factor. And it's also been uncovered that in some of these shows, which I won't bring up any alleged cases, but some of them are even staged by the production staff. And I actually have some experience with producers, and I know you can take the most honest investigator and get a grubby producer in there saying, but it would be really interesting if that matchbook would just move on its own, and maybe that'll be good for this episode. And okay, because the other stuff's real. And then you start to lose credibility. And the way I liken it is you have to look at the paranormal like you're going on an archaeological expedition, or you're Jane Goodall going into the jungle and filming apes. You can't go in and tell the apes how to perform. You've got to go into their environment, and it's more of an expedition. And I loved your film for that, because it really gives that feel that you're on a journey to find answers and discover it. And listen, you take a camera, follow an archaeologist, it's going to be boring 9 times out of 10 or 99% of the time. But right. When they come across the T-Rex fragment or the ancient human fragment of bone, that gets interesting, and so this is not something that should be glorified. It's something that should be seriously investigated. And I just have always you and I have been friends for a decade now, and I've always admired that aspect of you. I think we've always connected on that level.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. It's it's really there's a lot of real pressures out there for producers that make these shows. They're in it for the money, for their job. There's pressure. They need ratings, or they need to sell X number of copies. So I'm absolutely sure that there's a lot of faking of things that are happening, and it's just kind of the nature of it. But when you watch it as a viewer, a lot of people don't know that, and that's what's sort of sad. But it's still entertaining if you go into it just to be entertained, and some of it is I'm sure legitimate and So you just have to decide yourself as the viewer. It's just kind of difficult to do because there's so much power in the edit. But in this documentary, I really tried to stay, true and neutral and just kind of show what is happening. So.